opportunity to come and talk. My name is McPadden. I am running for Congress. A little bit about my background. I grew up here in Virginia. I went to Virginia Tech. I graduated with a degree in electrical engineering and also mathematics. That's why I'm a numbers guy too, I guess. Right after I graduated, I joined the United States Navy, became a naval aviator. I flew the P-3 Orion anti-submarine warcraft aircraft for 6 years active duty. I did 4 years of reserve. After I separated from active service, I joined the airlines. I was hired by Northwest Airlines, and I've been with them for the last 24 years, I guess. I've been a captain with Northwest Airlines and with Delta Airlines since 1997. Our campaign, we'd like to say that our campaign is we have a vision. We call it liberty. And the reason we have a vision called liberty is because liberty, to me, and to our campaign, is the absence of government. The one overriding thing in this campaign that we need to focus on is stopping the growth of government and reducing the size of government. It's that growth of government which is sapping our liberty. The growth of government comes at the expense of liberty. So our vision in our campaign is liberty. The philosophy of our campaign is the Declaration of Independence. Now that may sound like a little campaign slogan to try and get people on board with the campaign, but in all actuality, the Declaration of Independence is a philosophical document. It's an American document. It is our American philosophy. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, your philosophy should be the Declaration of Independence. Now we can argue about how we're going to make this document a reality, but in principle, all of our philosophy should be the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That's what it means to be an American. Finally, in our campaign, we have a model for the structure of government. It's very simple. It's called the Constitution of the United States. Now, the three pillars of our campaign are the individual liberty. Individual liberty is the most important aspect of our campaign. It should be the most important aspect for all of us as Americans. You see, this country was founded on individual liberty. What people don't understand is from 1776 to 1900, in a little over 120 years, we went from being just like every other country in the world, 13 loosely conglomerated colonies in the backwater part of the world, becoming the richest and most powerful nation the world had ever seen, based on one thing: individual liberty. Our founders saw fit that if we allow the people to go out and live their lives unencumbered by government bureaucracy and the tyrannical overrulings of the king, they would go out and found a great nation. And we did. We did. From 1900 until where we are today, it has been regulation after regulation, tax after tax, and we have lost our individual liberties one by one. And it's why we find ourselves in the state today. Now, those are some pretty philosophical ideas, and I'll ground them a little bit in laws that they have passed. But right now, individual liberty, that's number one. Number two is sound money. What's sound money? Sound money is getting back to the constitutional idea of what money really is. This is sound money. And this is what our founders saw was sound money. This is a $50 gold liberty coin. And it has 1 ounce of pure gold. Now, in the year zero, in the Roman Empire, with the gold in this coin, you could buy one fine man's suit. A Roman toga. You'd have a belt and a brooch. You'd have nice sandals and a little thing they wore on their head for 1 ounce of gold. In 1850, walking down any street in the United States of America with the ounce of gold in this coin would buy you a fine man's suit. And today, the gold in this coin is worth about $1,100, and I guarantee you can get a fine man's suit with the gold in this coin today. It's sound money. It's kept its value for at least 2,000 years. Now I want to show you what unsound money is. This is a Federal Reserve bill. You used to be able to get these and it would say you could turn these in for an equivalent amount of gold. All this is Federal Reserve bill. It's backed by nothing. Now in the year 1913, this was worth $1. Today, it's worth about that much. It's worth about 4 cents. That's what the Federal Reserve has done to our money and our money supply. It's made it worthless. And as they print more money, day after day, which we're all witnessing, we're seeing the dollar become more and more divided. It's lost half its value in the last 2 years. And this will continue to happen as long as we have out-of-control government spending and the printing press is running at full speed. We need to send people to Congress to understand how money works and how spending money that you don't have is an unsound policy. If you want a sound economy, you have to have sound money. If you don't have sound money, you have the economy that we have today. Finally, the last pillar of our platform for our campaign is constitutional restraint. And what does that mean? It simply means forcing the government to live within the constraints of the Constitution as envisioned by our founders. So Madison and Jefferson used to use the terms chaining down the government or binding down the government with the chains of the Constitution. And for me, I like to imagine it as a box. You put the government in, you close the top, and you lock it, and you say, there. That's where you may live. Those are the boundaries that you may occupy. And that's it. That's constitutional restraint. In our campaign, we believe that Jefferson and Madison got it right, and Obama and Pelosi and Perry got it wrong. So that's the basic platform of our campaign. I guess, I listened to the other candidates talk about how they're concerned about the future direction of our country, and I'm concerned too. And one of my favorite stories from the Old Testament is from the book of Nehemiah. And Nehemiah was written in a time when the Israelites had been freed from captivity in Babylon. And for those of you who might be familiar, they had been taken captive, taken back to Babylon, and they were there for 70 years. And the Persian Empire had overcome the Babylonians. And the king of the Persian Empire was Cyrus. And the Bible says that the Spirit of God moved through Cyrus to encourage him to release the Israelites and send them back to Israel. And so he did. And he told them, you go back to Jerusalem and you build a temple to your God. And they did. So they left what was Babylon, they went back to Jerusalem, and they began to build a temple to their God. And in the midst of this, the Bible says that they were all gathered in the marketplace one day, and all the priests came out. And the chief priest Ezra came out and began to read from the book of the law. And as he began to read, the people began to weep. And so the priests went out into the crowd and said, no, this is a day of great joy. We're reading the law. There's no reason to weep here, but they couldn't be consoled. And the Bible doesn't explain why they were so inconsolable. And to me, what this meant to me is that moment in time, they realized who they were. They were children of a God who had designed them to live in liberty. And there they were, experiencing liberty for the first time as they practiced their religion and heard the words that were written for their ears. And I look out at my country today, my countrymen, and I think they're asleep. I think many people in our country today are asleep. And I don't know how to wake them up. But it has to happen somehow. Our fellow countrymen have to wake up and realize what's going on in Washington. And we have to stand up and begin the march on Washington. We have to begin the job that it takes to send someone to Washington and do what needs to happen, which is to revert back to the constitutional government that was given to us by our founders. I just hope that moment doesn't come too late. We are losing our republic and we live in perilous times. Now, the one question that I get mostly at these forums or when I go around the 5th District is, well, you talk a good game, but how do we know you're not going to go there and be one of them? We can see that you have conservative values, but what happens in 2 years? We've seen conservative after conservative go to Washington, and they drink the Potomac River water perhaps, and we don't recognize them in 2 years. How do we know this isn't going to happen to you? Now here's my answer. First of all, I think we can judge a person by their past, project to where they are in the present, and determine where they're going to be in the future. One of the most important moments in my life was when I was a young man, and I raised my right hand, and I swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic, as a young naval officer. And I remember